It is National Craft Month this month, the month of March. And if you have been following along over on my Facebook page, I've been talking about this quite a bit because March has very often been, because it's National Craft Month, a month where I bring on the Memorydex. And in past years, I have made a Memorydex card a day. I'm not doing that this year because I just got some other things going on that I want to give focus to. But boy, what I am doing is I'm sharing every day cards that I've made in the past. And I, for one, am super loving and enjoying just going back and looking. There is nothing more inspiring, I think, than going back and looking at the things that you have made that you love so much. I am all for let yourself inspire yourself. You don't need Pinterest. You don't need to go look at what everyone else is doing. A friend of mine recently just reminded me, go back and look at your own body of work and let that inspire you. So Memorydex is inspiring today's make. And I got a lot of things going on here with that. Hey, I'm Jamie Pate, by the way. Thank you so much for watching this video. It is a season for a lot of green, and I am exploiting that to the fullest as well. But not only that, there's this really fun product that just became available at ScrapbookCom called Shimmer Flakes. This one's Lucky Charm. Isn't it beautiful? It has flakes of very different sizes and different little shades of color, like this one here. It's almost like there's a little bit of gold. There's some lighter greens. It's really fun. We're going to take this wow factor shimmer and we're going to add it to a card today. So let's work on that first. Now, when I foil or add flakes or glitter to anything, it's even been wood projects for home decor. Something that I like to do is to already have that color on the surface of which I'm going to be adding in the glitter. And in this instance, we're going to be adding in Shimmer Flakes. So that's what I'm doing here. I have cut, this is from the Nested 4-leaf clover. It's the smallest, little, cutest, little, tiniest 4-leaf clover. And I think the tiny is just going to be perfect for what our card needs. So a couple things here. I'm just using smart glue. And I'm going to take that with my pick and just hold this down like this to add the glue right over the top of this paper. Okay. I have some other things I was going to talk to you about and I haven't done that yet. So we'll get to that though. I'm just going to take another piece of paper here and put my upside down glued piece on here. And the Shimmer Flakes have a turn knob. And so you can have a bunch or you can have, whoops, where'd it go? Or you can have a little. I like the shakety because there are different sizes in here. And the shakety, if you're wanting this impact like we're going to be producing today on our shamrock, the shakety is perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to try to cover the whole die cut. It doesn't need to be covered, in my opinion, to give it the impressive factor that I want. And after I have sprinkled that over the glue, I'm just going through and just sort of pressing it down a little bit. And so the reason I wanted to do this first is because we do have some other things to do. I'm trying to find there it is. We do have some other things to do. So I wanted to have this all finished and then to let it dry while we're working on the rest of our card. Now you can see too, because they're flakes and they're flat, they're flakes, right? Even though there's like 1, 2, 3, there's 4 different sizes on this alone that I can see. Super cool like that, right? A little bit different than glitter because of that flake factor, which just really gives this really multi-dimensional kind of shine. But because they're flakes, they don't necessarily go right where you want them to go. So here I have this shape, but it's kind of overlapping. And that's okay. I mean, who am I to tell Shimmer Flakes where to go? I'm not, but I'm going to encourage their placement by coming in here with my pick. And I'm just going along the line of the die itself and either kind of pushing the flake back onto the surface or pushing it underneath, or it's going to just fall off. But that way I still have a really good shape here and I don't feel like I just have this glob of shimmer. So just, you know, be artistic with it and encourage its placement. So we're going to set this aside and let it dry. Okay, so let us now prep the background of our card that we will cut out to be a Memorydex card. Okay, so what's Memorydex? You're like, I've never heard of Memorydex before. You might be new to hanging out with us, or you might be new just to paper crafting. And Memorydex is a Rolodex card. And there used to be products that looked kind of Rolodex-esque, and you could make these cards and you could pop them onto the Rolodex spinner or their boxes, and those just pretty much don't exist anymore. I mean, you can find them out there in places if you look hard enough, I'm sure. I have just not even bothered anymore, and I just keep making Memorydex cards. And I have two classes, actually. I think I already moved. Yep, I moved that a little bit. Okay, we'll make sure we cover that up. But I have two classes on my website that are all Memorydex. Two? I think two. At least two. One is a beginner basic. It's just everything you ever wanted to know about Memorydex, where to find the supplies for them, where not to find the supplies for them, and options for how to still display them, even if you don't have the spinner or the boxes for them. There's lots of possibilities out there. So I'm just coming in here. I'm making a little bit of a mess because I'm super excited about that the Shimmer Flakes, and so my brain's a little distracted right now, but it's okay because we can still have fun even if we're a little distracted. I have come in here with bundled sage with this dotted stencil, one of my most favorite dotted stencils from ScrapbookCom, and then also with some shabby shutter, just to kind of give it a little bit of a different green instead of just one color. I wanted to give it a little bit of dimension because this had more dimension to it as well. And so that's what I wanted to do there with that. I'm going to come along the edges and just kind of pop in a little bit of the antique linen here, not much at all. And then we're going to cut this down. And so my preference for these cards is about 3 by 4. So I'm going to cut this down to 3 by 4. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to use to start layering on the things to give a nice home to our shimmery 4-leaf clover. Okay, so we're going to start layering up this card. I always just like to, especially if I'm like DIYing the card from the very beginning, I just love to add stenciling. We're going to keep this pretty simple today because I really want to give the focus to what is happening on the card itself. But if you love to ink, if you love to stamp, like, have your way with your Memorydex card. So again, this is a 3 by 4 card, and I don't have the punch to give it the little grooves at the bottom in order to just pop it right into a box or a spinner, because I'm going to put it in a box that's just going to hold the card. And check out those classes for more information on that. So what's going to happen here is I've already cut, I've actually had these left over from our last video. So these are from the Build a Bouquet. That is part of the SBC Fest Laura Graph kit. And so I just had some left over. I cut these from 49 and Market Evergreen season. So that's why they kind of, I hope they still go with, I think it is. Yeah, it's going to go fine with that. I kind of panicked for a minute. I'm like, I'm not sure if it goes with my background, but it does. And then the other thing I have over here is several pieces from the 49 and Market Toddler Time. And what I did is I just went through to find the green things. Basically, that's all I did. And so what is really fun about Memorydex is just it's the idea that you have this little canvas that you get to play on, you get to make mistakes on, like me with my dots kind of going a little woohoo, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it's a little piece of paper. It's not this huge canvas. It's not even a 12 by 12 piece of paper, right? It's a very doable little workspace to invite you to come in and have some fun with the making. So you can see here, I'm just layering. I got a ticket here, and you can use any ephemera pieces. You can use anything that you love to use. I have a ticket here on the side. This is just a small tag, obviously, and then a label. And so this is kind of like a bit of a Memorydex 101. It's just layering on, whether it's ink or paper pieces, stamping. This is from the Sunny Days. I have it right over here. The Sunny Days Word Fetty, and it is Good Luck, which I thought might be fun with a 4-leaf clover. So it's going to kind of sit up here, and actually my 4-leaf clover is going to do the same thing and kind of sit up here, and this is going to now just sort of layer over that. So I'm just kind of thinking through some things right now, and I might actually pull this up a little bit higher and let my tag hang over the top, and then I put some ribbon through there. It might be fun. And then let some of this foliage come down here and layer up. So let's go ahead and start putting that together now. So I already have an idea of what this is going to look like, and I do this quite regularly. I just kind of layer the things on until they feel right, and then I can commit with a little more confidence and put the pieces and the elements where they go. I liked having that tag up above the line of the card there, and so now I'm making decisions at this point on which of the heights of the foam adhesive is going to work best. And I have some 3mm up there, and that's what some of those initial pieces were popped up with. When you start kind of layering these smaller pieces up together, then you kind of like, oh, maybe I don't need it to be that high. Again, you just gotta kind of have to feel these things through by practicing them and taking some examples, like an example here of watching me put this together, and then taking that and using it for yourself. Do you like the sentiment to be super high? Would you prefer just to glue it down? And almost always, I kind of get a little bit of questions about this, but almost always I'm not using a ton of adhesive behind my elements because I want them to kind of float. So the 4-leaf clover there is using the 1mm of the square foam pieces. I'm going to come back later with that Good Luck sentiment because it's kind of barely on there actually. It needs to have the 3mm again, and that's what I finally decided on. Okay, so pro tip here, if you follow along in this channel much at all, you know what I'm going to say, and that is, if you're going to cut one, cut 16. I just die cut all the pieces. And if you feel like you don't know how many you're going to use, that's why you have so many cut up, because you don't know. So here's another example of something I want to share as well. I thought this guy was going to kind of pop up above that little foliage leaf there. I didn't like it. So I decided, nope, I'm going to have to, I think I come back and I pull that smaller piece out, but I actually tuck it underneath. And, I didn't really know that that's what I was going to want until I started putting the pieces into place. And again, that has to do with practice, right? Kind of layering it at the beginning and now kind of finalizing, but you're not really sure. And if you're kind of concerned, so the die is, of course, I'm kind of rattling here, but the die is, of course, reusable for all of time. Paper, you might feel a little bit more concerned about using paper. Then take mixed media paper or some kind of white cardstock and ink it up and use those for your paper instead. You can customize exactly to the color. And that way you don't feel like you're just kind of blowing through maybe your pattern paper that you really don't want to blow through in this sort of way. So that was just another quick tip for you as well. So just coming around here, finishing the placement of these little foliage pieces. And I like how they for sure are floating. I was just using the dotted adhesive for these guys. And yes, I did just kind of mash that whole thing, but everything's in place. So we're good. Everything's good. I'm going to finish up here by going ahead and pulling through that ribbon. Now, if you have taken my Memorydex class, you know how great it is to have all these different heights and these different, what I call sticking up pieces in a Memorydex card box, right? And just, it's so invoking, and you want to go in and you want to go see all the parts. And so I'm glad I decided to go ahead and elevate this tag up and then add the ribbon as well. So be sure and check out all the links I've included and practice, practice, practice.